My parents are my audience.
I'm here watching.
Louder.
Alright, speech is about Montana. Do you like glaciers, huge mountains, tons of wildlife everywhere you go? Montana has all of the above and then way more. My trip to Montana was by far the most scenic trip I've ever been on. Close to the Canada border, it has Glacier National Park, Flathead, and Whitefish, and hundreds of other scenic locations throughout the state. All in all, if you love nature and mountains, Montana is your place. So the first part of the vacation, we started driving through Nebraska, and that's just crappy because there's cornfields pretty much everywhere until you get to the pretty much furthermost western part of Nebraska. Then the scenery starts changing. I believe we drove through Montana a little bit to get up into Billings, but that's the first night where we stayed. And then after that, we had started going up to, believe it was Whitefish, because we were going up to Glacier National Park, but it was still closed because of the snow on the road. But after that, we had went to Polson, Montana, that was located on Flathead Lake, and we rented a boat there and almost got stuck out in the middle of the lake because the boat stalled. Knowing that the one thing that I got the most excited for on this trip was closed, I look forward to all the other things we would see on this trip. Leaving Polson and then going to, after that we had left Polson and went to an old mining town called Garnet, Montana. And then we went up this dirt road for about an hour and a half before actually getting to the town. That was on top of a mountain completely. And then I remember going through the buildings and looking at the little pamphlet and learning about all this stuff. And then learning what the buildings were used for and stuff like that. So after we left Garnet, we went down to Thompson, Montana, which had the best hamburgers that were supposedly the best rated hamburgers in Montana. So after we left there, we went to Melrose, Montana, that was essentially in the middle of nowhere. But there was hundreds of things that you could do, because it was just, like behind us we had this dirt road where if we took it for about 2 miles, there was this pond on the right side and there was mining shacks to the left side. And then behind us, if we went about 4 or 5 miles this way, there was mountain roads that went up to this mountain lake that was super crazy clear. But that was pretty much the last day in Montana before we started driving back home. I think we saw a couple more ghost towns on that day. I forget something. But essentially, Montana is a nature lover's dream just due to the amazing scenery. Constantly, once you get close to Glacier National Park, but even throughout the whole state, you will see sights that will make your jaw drop. And that's why Montana is personally my favorite state as of now. I knew I had a long drive back home, but I knew Wyoming is pretty scenic on the side that we were coming through. We went through the backside of Idaho and then came out through behind the Grand Tetons. We went through some portion of the Yellowstone. And Yellowstone is actually kind of cool because it's a site of a super eruption. Like there's a 50-mile actual radius of where the crater from where the volcanic explosion actually was. So that's pretty cool there. But pretty much Grand Tetons were the most scenic thing that we had left to see. And then after that, it was pretty much the boring drive back home through Wyoming and Nebraska. But going back home, the drive just pretty much sucked. I mean, there's nothing else. Doesn't change going there. 13 hours driving through cornfields kind of sucks in the scenery department. But on the way back, I had a book that I had bought up in Montana about a fur trapper who traveled throughout the Midwest, including some of the locations that we'd stopped at up in Montana. And Montana was pretty much hands down the best vacation I have ever had in the most scenic state I've witnessed so far in my life, only having spent about a week there. With me becoming a park ranger, Montana is essentially a dream landscape with its constant changing scenery. The snow-capped mountains, glass-clear streams, everywhere with tons of trout and other fish species in them, millions of trails to hike on it, and most importantly, the memories you'll make there.